Hi, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. There goes the fan for you. If I want to keep buying them, I have to review them. Now, this review is specifically because someone requested how I felt about FF number 1, and I thought I had reviewed it, but apparently I didn't start doing reviews until FF number 2, etc., and I've been doing them ever since. So I went through my box of old books and I dug out this issue so that I could specifically review it and give a response to those who requested it. So this review is going to be about FF number 1. As you can see, I bought the blank cover, and really I just bought that because it's kind of thicker, so it's kind of nicer. It's like more like a book. And so let's talk about the story. What happens in here is basically you get a little bit of retrospective about how Johnny died in the Fantastic Four, and it was his last request that they as a team continue doing what they have been doing and try to get Spider-Man to take his place. And Johnny specifically requested that, so Reed's on board with it, and they're changing over from the Fantastic Four to the Future Foundation. As much as it doesn't specifically talk about it in this book, it's a bigger change than just costumes and that one guy changing out. The Future Foundation actually involves a whole truckload of other characters. There's Moloids, there's Atlanteans. They're weird, different kind of Atlanteans than Namor's Atlanteans. There's a giant robot dragon man. There's all kinds of people all over the place. And so you get the initial joining, or Spider-Man showing up and starting to be a part of this team. And you get their first adventure, which is going to Pavlov or something. It's an it's not an AIM facility. It's like a prison that was holding the Wizard, and AIM has broken in to release him, and they get away pretty much. And then the team sits down for a roast that Nathaniel Richards, so Grandpa Richards, has made, and they have some dinner and talk a little bit, and then Valeria springs the idea on her father of bringing Doom into their group, that they need him and that kind of thing. And that's the big shocking revelation at the end, which is not shocking now because, you know, we've known that Doom is in here, and the next two issues were about how Doom got fixed and why he's there and all kinds of stuff, right? So the way I feel about this now is going to be different than the way I originally felt about it when it first came out, but I'm going to try to remember as much of that as possible and reiterate it to you guys. I remember when I first read this feeling like it was kind of slow and kind of a lot of silent panels with not a lot going on in each one of them. There's, you know, this whole Spider-Man swinging into and then showing up on the rooftop with Susan. And this issue came out before he had really even accepted being on the team. But in this issue, he already was a part of the team and was showing up for the first day of the job. So it's very interesting. It was hard to take at the time because basically we hadn't seen part of it yet. But if they were just going to keep going from here on, then it made total sense. Now, if you were reading Amazing Spider-Man at the same time, or an issue or two later from this, after this came out, you will also read there that replays basically his first day on the job too, where in that version he shows up in the blue and black costume with the 4 on it and totally like pisses people off because he's wearing that, and they retired those colors because of Johnny. And there's a little bit of that in here too, but this is the better of the two stories of the same kind of situation. So there's a little bit of inconsistencies and overlap between the two that I didn't know about when I was first reading this. I thought this was going to be the story with a little bit of maybe finding out how he had joined the team, or just assumption that he had joined the team when they asked. And then they redid it in Amazing Spider-Man, and it wasn't as good, that's for sure. So you get the introduction of Spider-Man to the new white costume and how it works. That's always interesting, and why they have new costumes, retiring the thing. You got the wizard breaking out, which I'm sure that plays into stuff later. He's on the think tank in the newest one, helping to make decisions about how they're going to get rid of all the evil Reed Richards in the world, or whatever. Misunderstood Reed Richards. And then you have the really cool interaction between the family, where they're all sitting around the dinner table. What I didn't like in here, too, was there's a seat at the table that they won't let Spider-Man sit down in, that it's Johnny's seat. So it's almost exactly like the same thing that he had done. Like he's putting his foot in his mouth over and over about this whole taking Johnny's place thing, or replacing him on the team, and they're not giving him very much slack for it. They're just kind of sternly telling him, no, you don't do that because of this. And then he's like, oh, okay, sorry. But you would think that he's a part of the team and starting to be a part of the family or whatever, that they're going to be a little bit more relaxed about it a little bit, and, you know, I don't know. It seemed weird. It seemed off character, too, that he would be stumbling into that. But like I said, in this book, he does it very much smaller and littler than the Amazing Spider-Man book, where he did it like twice or three times, repeatedly, just making an ass out of himself. And then at this dinner, you also have Reed Richards coming up with the idea, what do you guys think of terraforming the moon? And everybody's like, sure, if you think that's best, you know, we go along with whatever you say. It's cool, we believe in you, whatever. And then his dad says, no, that's a stupid idea. What's the matter with you? Kind of thing. And there's a moment of awkward silence, because I guess Reed Richards in his family really isn't disagreed with in most cases. People just go along with what he's thinking because he's the big brain or whatever. They've come to trust him as the guy making the decisions or whatever. So to have somebody disagree with him and tell him that not to do something is really refreshing for him, and it's awkward at first because he's not used to it, which is cool. It's also cool to see right after that they play off the father-son relationship with Reed and Franklin, and how it's different than the father and son relationship between Reed and Nathan. It really feels like in here that Reed is still trying to live up to his father's ideals and get out of his father's shadow, whereas Franklin is totally different than his dad, right? So while Reed is trying to say, hey, do it like this is the way it's fun about this video game thing, trying to direct him to be more like his father, that's not how Franklin is. He doesn't understand how that's fun, and that's not how he works. So it's really interesting that those same father-son relationships are totally different just within the small family group. And it's also great that it's put into a comic book like this. And so then there's the reveal about Doom being a part of the Future Foundation, which is, he's not really a part of it, right? They're just helping him, but somehow he wears the costume. That's the main problem that I've had with the whole him joining the FF thing, is Doom is not the type of person that's going to wear somebody else's costume regardless of what's going on. Sure, he may help if it suits his needs in the long run, but they're going to tell him to change into black and white from green or whatever. There's no way he's going to go for that. That's ridiculous, completely. And so when this first came out, and there's the picture of him in shadows here with the white and black, there was a lot of discussion that I had read and heard about whether or not he's wearing the FF costume. And I thought, no way, that's totally against his character. That's not what he's going to do. And it turns out in later issues that he is. Right. So, as far as rating this issue, there are some really great moments, and this is the best representation of Spider-Man's first day and his integration into the FF team. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that's all set up. The problem with number ones is always that you're starting, there's no huge event that happens most of the time. It's all set up. It's all the beginning of the story, right? So things are just starting to get going, and you're getting a lot of detail that you need for later issues, but it kind of slows down the first issue in general. Usually there's one big reveal at the end, but in this case, it's not even that huge of a reveal, because it's, whatever. because I kind of expected it. I think I heard it somewhere or something. But anyway, so I would probably give this a 4 out of 5. It's not excellent. There are some really good moments, but it's the slowness in here is one of the annoying things about number ones, and the way it came out when it came out was unfortunate because it was a little confusing because Spider-Man hadn't accepted it or hadn't even been offered it yet. He just showed up to his first day at work, and then they dealt with it. And then it was rewritten again, not as well somewhere else, so again, it was all kind of confusing. But overall, very good. 4 out of 5. I'm still reading the whole series, so, Jonathan Hickman, he does a good job writing this team. I really, when I think about it, I don't think that Spider-Man is necessary in this team. I think the FF would have been fine if it was just the 3 of them and the rest of the kids, because there's a whole crap load of characters in there anyway. They don't need a whole nother character, and Spider-Man is all over the place now. Now he's an Avenger, he's got his own thing going on, and he's also on the FF. It just seems like yet another costume for Spider-Man to have for an upcoming Spider-Man video game where you change costumes all the time, because I swear he's had like 6 costumes in the past 4 or 5 months, and that's all it seems like it is, marketing stuff, getting it out the door. They're interesting stories, don't get me wrong, but still, there you go. FF, number 1, 4 out of 5. This is a post-review. So if you want to check out my other reviews, or you have suggestions, or you want to hear about a review about a book that maybe you read, maybe you didn't, you were thinking about reading, just ask. I may or may not have it. I may or may not be able to do it, but I'm willing to try for anybody out there, so go ahead. Check out, you can follow me on YouTube as Spidey207, or anywhere else as Peteparker. And as always, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.